Let's do it live on a Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. Gibbe is here, the undisclosed location, west side of Cleveland, at least for one more week.
Final week.
Last week, and tomorrow probably the last day of the stream for the week.
Oh, boy. So,
well, it's time to start migrating things back to the
then we're going to have to
compound.
see people again?
I know.
Well, we go on hiatus for a week.
We do.
The
but
isolation's been nice.
I like the isolation. If there's any way we could have like some sort of an elevator or like a fire pole that we could go down to get out without.
Like where we just like pop right up in
I like
the studio.
that. Elevate.
Yeah.
And then fire pole down.
Well, the table's like this, so there's all that extra room in front of
There
the
is
table
that space.
that's not utilized. We could have a
I like it.
drop-out floor there.
Be amazing. And then you just
Yeah, why
hit
not?
zzz, down. And then straight out. See you, Jay. And we're out.
we'd pop right out into Mellon's area, I think.
That's fine. He's
No,
friend
I
of the
think we'd
program.
be.
Or we, well,
I
we're
think
in a
we'd
certain
be-
other person's area.
I think we'd be in that open.
That leads to
no,
meetings.
I think we'd be in the open area, like when you come down and you go through those doors. Like if you come
Yeah,
downstairs
you're right.
and you go, I think it's like
Main locker.
that
it's
open
influence.
space. I think it's that open space
Well,
in
you
between
know,
the meeting rooms and all of that.
that area.
No, that's
Yeah,
no.
you're safe.
Safe.
Nothing to
Okay,
see
that's
there.
what you
Nothing-
say
nothing to
now.
see here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
very
we'd
good.
have like a cylinder that would enclose
Yeah, I like
our
that.
chute. We'd slide down and we'd walk out.
I like that. Just shoot.
And on the bottom of it, that's what it'd be. So it's just a pole,
Yeah.
but at the bottom of the pole is a disc. And so when we go up, we stand on the disc, and the disc raises us up to the
Yep.
floor. And then when we want to go down, we could go down on it, or we have the option to send the disc down and slide down like we're firemen in Ghostbusters.
I think that the fireman pole is something that hasn't been used enough in everyday building of homes.
Agreed.
Have you ever gone down one and been like, "Oh, that"? I mean, it's great.
It's like
So much fun.
Yeah.
it's like the modern era. We've gotten rid of the garbage chute.
Yeah, there's another one.
A garbage chute was a great time.
It's a great time.
Yeah.
Huge win. Huge win. How'd you guys do at block party? How'd that go? Everybody win? I saw a bunch of people from
Lot of
850
winning.
shooting Jays. Did you get any Jays up?
I didn't put any J's up. No,
We came in, we were focused.
we were focused.
Yeah.
We crushed it.
Trotter brought us a bunch of food from the Greek
Yeah.
Fest on the west side of
that's
town,
nice.
which was spectacular.
Okay.
For the first hour, Gibby tasked me with a 60-minute monologue on the Cleveland Browns, which I
totally
delivered.
did. I did no
and the
rundown.
and then the
None.
second
60-minute monologue.
Yeah, he goes at the end of it, he goes, "Man, good job, dude." He's like, "You really talked a lot." I was like, "Well, yeah, that was it." And then the second hour was me, Trotter, and Gerard. And while time is absolute, 60
Sure.
minutes is 60
It's
minutes.
60.
The
No way around
second
it.
60 felt like 10.
Sure.
The first 60 felt like about
60.
an hour and
Yeah.
2 hours, 4 hours.
That's an amazing job out of you.
I did
amazing.
a half hour on our offense, going through every single player on the
We're going
roster.
to do it on the defense. today.
We were talking on Friday morning, and I was I was thinking like, what is going on here, and I was thinking about how to fill all of that, and I would recall Jim Tressel doing that once. He did a 54-minute press conference after Tatgate, where he gave 1 hour.
I do
He
remember
spoke for
this.
54 minutes straight, and he went over every human on the roster. Okay. Position by position by position, backup punter, a little bit of biography on every kid for 54 minutes. And the point was so that no one could ask him a question about Tatgate. So he got 3 questions at the end, and that was it. I'll see you on down the road, boys.
See ya.
Because you got an hour with the coach, and that was it. Oh, that's great. Good job out of you. That's very, very
okay. How are your? I know there are some hiccups. Overall, how are we doing?
I'll just give it to you straight. It doesn't need any embellishing. This is merely the tale of a man who is historically more snake bit by travel than any human who's walked the earth. I stand by that. I would put my tribulations up against anybody's, especially juxtaposed to how little I fly now. I used to fly a lot.
That
to give you
feels
some
like a claim
backdrop,
my father would make. My father, who would.
I just don't think
was
he would stand a chance against me.
He was so afraid of air travel 2 weeks prior to his cruise that he wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
It jeopardized the cruise 2 weeks later.
He's right to feel that type of trepidation because you are sitting next to
You're
a man
here right now.
I know. You're sitting next to a man who has spent the night in the Denver airport with a 2-year-old on his chest.
Oh man, yeah, that's no
because
good.
and there were no hotels in Denver that night. You see, because there was
Awful
some
airport.
convention. It's a death airport.
Yes.
Remember
Well, there's
Lucifer?
the
Yep.
There's
Lucifer.
Lucifer, exactly. The horse.
And I remember calling American Express. I'm like, you got to get me a hotel, and they're like, well, we can get you into Aspen. I'm like, I'm not sure that's
That's
in
not
the vicinity
helpful
at all. I have spent the night in the Salt Lake City airport. I spent the night in the Dallas airport. I've lost days of vacation to the Virgin Islands.
Charleston.
Yep. So many more. And it's infinite. I've had doors closed on me. I've sprinted the length of the Atlanta airport more times than I can count. Doors closed as I'm approaching. Like, I've experienced it. It's so bad. So I take great precaution to do everything in my power to avoid this stuff. Like, typically I fly out first thing in the morning because that's your best shot. And I always pay for the front of the plane because I want to have the closest way out possible to be able to redo. And my wife's like, why do you do that? I'm like, I even map out contingencies for missed connections in flights. Like, can I get here this way? Give me another town I can get to close. Where are the flights into these places? So this is what I do. So we are flying last Thursday at 2:45.
Feels like a pretty easy time out of Cleveland on a fine weather day.
Fine weather day on a Thursday out of Cleveland. By the way, our airport, honestly, just start over. Just be done with it. I can't believe they threw money in it to the Republican convention. Just bulldoze it. Be done with it. It's awful.
It's not great.
It's awful. It's got to be the worst big city airport. Got to be.
You think so?
I can't think of one worse.
I mean, LaGuardia.
LaGuardia's been renovated, though.
I haven't been in it since.
Detroit's super nice.
Detroit's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Columbus is great. Pittsburgh's
Detroit's
great.
great.
Cincinnati's great.
Yep.
Indy's great. In our region, it's way back.
Just because the security's so bad, like that whole setup.
It's just not set up for modern flight.
No.
It isn't, and we'll get to
we
some
have that
specifics.
other concourse that is
Just sits there.
Just sits there.
I know it. It's bad. Anyway, it's nothing against the people who are there. They're doing the best they can. They're just put in an impossible spot, I think. So we're flying at 2:45. My connection through D.C., my connection to Charleston is 5:10. Okay? That's the connection. Plenty of time.
And
it's a 50-minute flight to D.C.
No security
I had
at
an
that time.
hour and a half
Yeah.
time.
Good.
Nothing to see here.
Yep.
On the way to, I get an alert on my app saying my flight has been delayed to 3:30. Okay, so now I'm in it. Okay, here we go. Flight's delayed to 3:30.
But you're a pro, and okay.
And I know that it's
This
50
is-
minutes, So I also know that 5:10 isn't 5:10. I really need to be on. I really got to be at the gate by 5 to 5.
But you're
because
on the
they're going to close it.
Are you on the same airline?
I'm on the same airline, and I'm
So-
2 gates away.
So they're communicating.
I'm walking out. I'm walking in.
Yep.
That's all I'm doing. I'm walking
Perfect.
out and I'm walking in. So 3:30 isn't really 3:30 though. And one thing I notice is, because now I'm in it, I'm looking at where my plane's been. This plane's been delayed 20 minutes every place it goes. Add 20 minutes every place. It starts in. I tracked this plane to someplace in the south, Wilmington
use
to
that little
D.C.
flight
from here to
tracker
here.
app?
Actually, they give it to you on the It was American this time,
Oh.
but it could be any of them.
Follow it. Yeah.
So I see it's just losing time. So 3:30 isn't 3:30. It's actually 4 by the time we get out
So
of
the
Cleveland.
plane's not there yet.
No.
Yeah.
So
No.
So now you're so 2:45 isn't 2:45. It's now 4. So now I've lost an hour 15 minutes of what was supposed to be an hour 30 in between on the connect. But that's still, if you pick us a little ground on the way, it's in play.
Doable.
It's not great, but it's in play.
Doable.
So
And
even
you're flying with the wind.
Yes, and it was just the blonde and I, and so we were at the front. And I'm thinking, well, I'm out. We should be okay. Hopefully there's a little communication. We'll land. We're fine. We start approaching D.C. I notice this, thinking, okay, so this should put us on the ground like 4:40. Okay, if we get to the gate by 4:50, I can run over,
Yeah, you're
stop them. I'm good. That's 15 minutes before.
Yep.
Oh.
Back up.
And I know when I'm in my backyard, I'm in the landing pattern a lot. I know, it's a whole different
You're done.
sound, and you
Well,
go,
now you're circling.
oh, there they go.
You're done. So as soon as this happens, I look at Amy and go, we're done. She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, we missed the spot. We got to go around. We're going to do this.
You're back in line.
You're back in line. So here we go. Right turn.
no.
I'm like, well, you screwed. It's done. So at this
Did
point,
they
I'm like,
come on and say what the issue was?
no, they don't tell you anything.
I hate that. Just be honest.
Just be honest with us.
Tell me what's going on.
More on that in a second. So we get on the ground.
This is great. I mean,
it's now 5:05. We're on the ground.
Yeah.
So, but I'm second row. I'm getting off, and I'm going to make a run. 5:05, right? So we get to the gate. It's right around 5:05 by the time we get to the gate. So I go running out. I see the gate. It's right across. It's directly across. I go running across. Plane is pushing off.
Early?
It pushed off at 5:10. Or
But
right
they
around.
know you're coming in on the same
You would
airline.
think. You would think. And
Same
then I'm
airline, yeah.
two places across. So I go, I'm on that plane. I go, I'm supposed to be on that plane. You're supposed what? And the guy goes, go talk to customer service. Not like I'm sorry, not anything. Basically, go to hell.
They
wish you the best.
No.
They don't even wish you the best. So they
No,
don't care.
no,
They're
don't
done.
care.
And it's not their fault because they're dealing with this all day.
Yep.
And they're all understaffed and every flight's
Yep.
oversold. So you're just screwed. It just
Yep.
is what it is.
Yep.
You live this. I lived it last year in the Bahamas when they took me to Newark instead of here, and they said, yeah, you're home. No, not.
not.
Jersey's not Ohio. It's not home.
No.
By the way, nothing back, like no
Oh,
funding,
that's over.
nothing.
Oh,
They're done
that's
with that.
over. Yeah,
they don't
that's
care
over.
about that. So I go to customer service. The woman looks at me like I'm cross-eyed. I said, how's your day going? She goes, not great. I go, well, I think I can beat you. And we're talking back and forth. I'm like, all right, I'm definitely. She's like, here's what I can do. These were the two options I was given. Now you tell me what you do here. I can put one of you on a flight tonight at 8:30 to Charleston out of D.C.
One?
I can put another of you on a flight tomorrow morning at 8:30 into D.C. I said, wait a second. You want us to, on a 3-day vacation for the two of us, you want us to split up and spend a night apart? This is one option that they put for us.
Why wouldn't they? Question.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they say, all right, we'll put one of you, give one of you a guaranteed seat on the 8:35, and then we'll have the other one of you go standby. If you guys can get on together, you go, and if not,
It's funny
then
you say that
go.
because I actually asked that. And she said, well, we can do that, but the standby list, you'd be 9 deep.
No, put me first.
No, they're not interested in that because they've already promised that to 8 other people. So then the other option was this. We can fly you into Savannah tonight, getting in at 11:30.
p.m. And that's
Correct.
What,
Hour and a half, hour
90,
45.
Yeah, 2 hours. That's what
So
I
I'm
thought.
thinking, okay, well, that's sort of appealing. But then I say to AIM, I said, well, who says that flight gets off on time? Who says that flight even goes? I said, I'm not going to be at the whims of these people.
What were you delayed for? What was the reason for
Well,
the initial delay?
It's funny you ask because if it's clear that the plane has been delayed all day. Now they're claiming, and this is how they get out of the voucher, is that it was air traffic control's issue, not American Airlines issue.
That's what they said on mine when I was late.
Yeah.
5 hours to go to
Right.
New York.
It's interesting. I said, well, that's interesting. It's air traffic control in D.C. that has had this plane off all morning as I was tracking it all afternoon. It was all because of D.C. air traffic control? That's it? Really? But you can't argue with them because they hold your whole fate. So I said, listen, this is what I told AIM. I said, all right, here's what we're doing. There's a flight tomorrow at 8:30. So then she goes, there's actually no 2 seats tomorrow on any of the flights to Charleston. I can put one of you on a flight at 8:30, one of you at 10:30, one of you here, but there are no 2 seats on anything. And I go, how is this? It makes no sense. And then I was going through like everything. I was very calm because I don't take it out on them. It's not their fault. Another woman at the gate comes over, and then she gets on a phone, and she goes, I'll never forget this. She like says the word whiskey. So it was code for something. She spelled whiskey out. And all of a sudden she's like, here's what I can do. If you want it, I can give you 2 seats on the 8:30 a.m. flight out of D.C. to Charleston Friday. So we can either fly to Savannah Thursday night, try renting a car. By the way, no cars. Nobody has cars. D.C. doesn't have
No.
cars. There's no cars. Nobody has them. Because I even considered driving home. More on that in a second. So I said, look, I love D.C. We have a great meal.
Yeah, for sure.
Make the best of it. Let's fly out tomorrow morning. I said, I don't want to sit here till 9 o'clock at night
No.
and then fly to Savannah. I've already lost a day. Like, I'm not going to lose
No, let's
another
go have
day.
a night. It's still a vacation day.
Yeah,
in
it's
DC.
a great town. Good food.
Yep.
Great.
Love DC.
Okay, we'll take 8:30. Call American Express. I said, because I'm sort of familiar with DC, but not tremendously. And I just wanted to be, I knew I didn't want to deal with like DC rush hour. So I'm like, I want a really nice hotel near Reagan is what I'm hoping for. So they put us up at La Meridian in Arlington.
You should. Arlington makes the sense
Yep.
if you're going on Reagan.
Yep. So I've
The
stayed there.
JW downtown would have been right there.
Would have been
Just
great.
Across the bridge.
Yeah, and had I known, because like the Waldorf's right there too. There's actually was a lot, but I'm not as familiar with DC. Like your familiarity would have helped. because Amy's like, why don't we stay at the Waldorf? And I'm like, I feel like that could be some rush hour, but it's really not.
Yeah, no.
So once you're inside the outer belt, you're fine.
Yeah.
So we walk into the Meridian in Arlington. It's flooding. It's flooding. The main check-in, the roof is off. Water is coming through the roof onto the check-in area. Amy goes, what is this? You tell me.
I don't know.
Vacuums everywhere, trying to get rid of the water. The guy goes to check us in. I go, wait, what are we doing? But at the same time, I'm thinking, the Prime Minister of India is there. I don't know if I can get another hotel now at this point. It's 8 o'clock. Like, I just want a place where I can sit down and go to eat.
The flood.
Get me above the flood.
Get me above the flood.
So he brings his little buddy over. I'm like, fine, above the flood. Guy comes over, takes our 2 bags. We walk out a side door, into a car garage, into a service elevator, up to the 8th floor, out the service elevator, around something else to go to the room. Really, this is where we're at.
Okay.
Luckily, somehow and this was the one little positive here, get dinner for 2 at Elio, which is Jose Andres' place in D.C. So I've always wanted to eat there. Phenomenal meal. Next morning,
what did you get? Because he always has like crazy.
I just did his.
Meats.
I did his tasting thing.
So what was the weirdest thing you ate?
I mean, the craziest thing was like the liquid olives. Like the very first app is crazy. The craziest thing we had was I'll show you what it looks like. I honestly can't even remember what it was. It was very good. It was like a
squid ink something?
A calamari, like a squid calamari with I don't know, it was very good. It was an
like
ink dyed pasta or something.
Yeah, squid ink pasta. It looks like a giant shrimp or something.
Yeah. Well, there were several of them in
Those
there.
langostinos or something.
I don't know. It was very good. It was. So we just did his thing. The dessert was great. That's great. Next morning,
8:30 flight.
8:30 flight. 5:55. Alarm goes off. Going to be there plenty of time. Nothing to see. Pick up my phone. Estimated noon.
On that 8:30?
That's right. Not even departure
Are they
noon.
having bad weather?
No. Everything else is flying and going. I mean, it was fog, but it wasn't anything crazy. You could hear the planes. 6 o'clock in the morning. They're
and
flying.
You can hear them. You're open.
So I go. I can't believe this. Amy's like, what? I'm like, noon. And it doesn't even saying like departure noon. It's saying estimated noon. Okay. So at this point, I'm like, forget it. Get me a flight Sunday back to Cleveland. I'll cancel the stuff in Charleston. We're just staying in D.C. Like, I'm not going to.
DC vacation.
I'm just doing a D.C. vacation. She's like, no, we got to go. Now it's 10 o'clock.
At least you got a nice tweet from your boy to give you some.
Well, he gave me so much energy.
Yeah, give you
because you need a little alpha.
You need it, yeah.
You need that.
I was trying to get it to you.
Yeah. So this now around 10:30, we're sitting. Now it's saying, all right, leaving at noon.
Yeah.
But now I've lost. I mean, it's lost. Like the whole another day's lost.
You just lost
missed
Magnolia.
The lunch, lost Magnolia. All that.
Fried green tomatoes.
So all went out the window.
Sad.
My son calls. Peyton calls. NBC calls my wife. My wife's face goes white.
Oh yeah.
Ghost white.
This part I do know.
Ghost white.
She
goes. My wife's eyes start tearing. She's shaking. Beamsy's headed to the emergency room. So Beamsy, apparently, Gigi and Papa did a great job. Kick-ass job.
Because I know he's okay.
Kick-ass job. Beamsy stepped on a fishing hook. Right in the heel. So apparently the initial stick and then put weight on.
Yeah, so now the barbs.
So now, if you know anything about a fishing hook, you know that they're not made to come out.
No, they're made to not come out.
They're opposite. So now it's in. So she can hear him screaming. NBC's talking to us, and am I driving home? I mean, what are we doing? I'm like, I think they're fine. I think this is going to be fine. This isn't life-saving. They can handle it.
Yes.
It'll all be fine. In the meantime, she's like, we got to go home. I'm like, so I'm like looking at car rentals. Aren't any. Can't go home. Can't fly home. Stuck. Absolutely stuck. So get to the emergency room. He ends up being, they take it out. They did a great job.
Stitch him up.
And as we are taking off, right as we're taking off, eventually what ended up being 12:38. We get the news that he's okay. Everything went well. Hook's out. You're good. Away you go, and away you go. So you ended up losing a day. Is what ended up
lost
happening.
a dinner
day
and a
of the
lunch. Yeah.
A dinner and a lunch and a night.
And
it doesn't end there, right? Because then I've got to deal with American Airlines on reimbursing the points because the seat that I ended up flying was not the seat that I paid for. I got to deal with the hotel because they'll give you money back, but you had to show proof that it all happened to you. And I'm like, isn't the proof of me not being there enough? Isn't that enough?
Right.
I'm not trying to pull a scam on you. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and then I got to deal with.
We're like, here's my receipt from the Meridian last
Right.
night in D.C. where I was stuck.
Yeah. Then I got to deal with them because I think they honestly should have told me before I booked the reservation that it was flooded.
Yeah.
That feels like information that would have changed my approach
Yeah.
to that. So I got to do that.
Were they receptive to that?
I haven't had a chance to do any
you
of
haven't
this.
done any of
I've
it.
done some of this. I've got balls in the rolling on several of it. Like the Meridian knew it was bad enough they gave me 5,000 Marriott points, but I'm like, I'm probably going to need more like 50 to make this right for the cost of this room. So Charleston was great. You and I were talking off air. It's like a cleaner New Orleans, great food, all that. We fly back yesterday. All of that's gone pretty smoothly. We land here at early, like 4:28.
Nice.
They lost your bag.
No, I didn't.
Okay, good.
I don't ever check.
Okay,
I've learned from that. Pilot comes on. It's going to be 5 minutes. They don't have our gate. So I look around Hopkins. There's not a plane anywhere. There's not one landing. Nothing. There's it's just gates forever. Park anywhere, man. Pull any of them up. Guy goes, going to be 5 minutes. 20 minutes later. It looks like they're going to have to move several planes. It's going to be probably. And by the way, there are no planes moving anywhere.
And you can see.
I can see it.
You can see everything.
It's like when I landed. That's the most frustrating. When I was in Jersey, we landed in Newark, and we sat on the ground for 40 minutes. Like, why?
Same. So 5:12, we got to a gate, and I'm going.
It's as long as the flight from D.C.
What are we? How is it possible for this to be the case?
This happened to me coming home from Vegas. Like, you take the red eye. We got in early, and they didn't have bodies to
There's
greet
no-
you at the.
so-
we
By the way,
literally
they knew you were going to be early
It's
5
not like
hours
the plane
before.
we literally
snuck up
sat
on anybody.
on the tarmac. It's 5:45 in the morning. It's raining sideways,
Yeah.
and we're just sitting there
Oh.
for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what's going on?
And I just there is no. It's all gone. It's not the people's fault. I was thinking back. We watched Mad Men in the spring, and it was like Roger Sterling and Draper sitting in first class, having a steak, drinking martinis, having the time of their lives. I'm like, it's over. It's over. Like, there isn't that experience is gone. There's no.
You have to have the wealth to fly private.
That's it.
If you want to.
That's
have a nice
replaced
travel
it. If
experience.
you want to have a good travel experience, and if you're, and by the way,
By the way, that's immense wealth.
right, like that's next Tuesday. I'm flying out west, so I'm going to play this roulette again. But there is no, and it's not the people's fault because they're all
Flying
understaffed.
on my birthday.
That's
a
right.
holiday. I
Yeah,
wonder
that's
how
right.
that'll be.
I'm hoping good because I'm hoping people won't fly on that day.
I just wonder how many people will be working.
Who knows? Can't be any worse than this. I mean, so my resolution is this. I used to have a rule: anything 6 hours or less, I drive. Now that's 10. I'm 10 hours or less. I'm driving. Like, we'll suck it up. We'll drive because we ended up being at the airport even Sunday when it went pretty smoothly. From leaving hotel to my house was well over 8 hours. It was close to 10 by the time all was said and done.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, at least then I control my own destiny, my own fate.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
And you're always
like
making
I'm done.
progress.
Yeah.
My sister, my brother-in-law, and a bunch of their friends went on a cruise. They sailed out of New York City. They drove to Jersey.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law was like, after coming home, he was on a business trip the week before in London, got stuck in D.C. for 11 hours. I'm
Yep.
like, why did you not drive? He goes, no cars.
No cars.
That's how I knew. He's like, we're driving. I don't care. Like, I know that the drive home is going to suck.
It's fine. I'll deal with it. I'll
already
prepare
know
for that.
I already know
Yeah.
that in advance. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not leaving the airlines.
Here's what I don't
with my
understand.
fate.
Okay. Here's what I
Yeah.
don't understand. And by the way, just watched the first episode of the Arnold documentary on Netflix. Couldn't recommend it.
Oh, I got it.
anymore
I'd be interested
for everybody. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But in that, they were showing actual footage of him from the 60s.
Yeah.
And to my eyes, while I know there have been some minor technological advancements in air travel, those jets of the 60s and early 70s look a heck of a lot like the jets that we're flying today, 50 years later.
Yeah.
Air travel seems to be the worst that it has ever been in our lifetime.
For sure.
The lack of reliability, customer service is gone.
They don't care.
It used to be like a luxury thing, and they would take great care of you on the planes, and yada, yada, yada. They got rid of smoking on planes. I guess that's a plus. But like, where is, as other things have advanced so significantly, where's been the advancement in that industry? In fact, anything I feels like it doesn't feel like it. It is worse than ever. I've flown.
It's never been worse.
A to and from on time yet. I've had a two. My to New York was delayed 5+ hours. Home was okay. My to Arizona was fine. Home from Arizona was delayed 5+ hours. Not okay. We were delayed with Mexico. There's
No, you don't. It doesn't exist. I think at one point the woman at American said, I was explaining all the things that happened to me, and she goes, well, when do you fly? And I said, I fly 4 or 5 times a year. And she's like, well, do you fly like spring break? She goes, you mentioned spring break in the summer. I'm like, well, yeah, that's when everybody flies. She's like, well, that's why there are delays. I'm like, but you know that.
right.
Build it into your system.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I heard it this morning on the radio. 50 million people expected to travel this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare.
It is back to the numbers are projected to be bigger than pre-pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder
for people traveling this weekend.
I wonder if we're in a worse place because we have, there's Delta, United, American.
That's the other part.
And then, but there used to be
There used to be
US Air
8.
and America West and
Northwest.
Continental and Northwest,
Yeah.
and they were all competing. I feel like to be like
Correct.
earn your business.
Yeah.
Now
Now they don't care.
because
No.
whatever city you're in, you maybe have one choice if you want to go nonstop out of most cities,
Yep.
and then some major cities you might have a couple.
Don't you remember when if
That's it.
something would happen to you, they would be like, oh, I can get you on a Northwest flight.
Yeah, they would.
Yes.
It was called
Now they don't do that anymore.
FIM.
They're done
it was
with that.
called FIMing. I worked for both Delta and Northwest as a consultant back in the early 2000s, and yeah, it was a completely different. They all worked together to try to it was about taking care of the passenger. Now it's like,
Oh, they don't care. They're done.
what are you going to do? Not
Nothing.
You're going to drive?
You're going to not fly?
Yeah, exactly.
No. And the answer is yes.
Well,
I'm going to drive. So I'm going to next summer if we go back to Montana, I'm RVing it, baby.
you are not.
Yes, I am. I'm done. I'm
Write
done
that
with it.
down. Write this down.
Hit up my guys at Avalon RV.
I'm done. I'm not going to do it.
New partner of
I'm
the
done.
Bruins.
Dude, that is a haul.
Dude, I drove
Family truck strip.
I drove
man.
a 30-footer to Rhode Island, up through Boston, into Maine, down to Niagara
Yeah,
Falls. I drove it for 10 days. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not.
You'll get the hang of it.
Yeah, I know. I can drive a Freightliner, brother. I can drive a 30-footer in my
yes.
sleep. Like I'm done.
Believe it or not the worst idea. You can sleep in it. You can, yeah.
This trip to Montana is going to go fine, and it's going to bring you back.
There's no way it's going to go fine. I'm flying through Denver on the way back.
With
Have you learned nothing? The flight out there will be fine. We're through
No.
Chicago at 7 a.m, so that'll be fine. But the way back is going to be a nightmare.
But the key is the boys now have their own bags.
They do, but here's the other problem. Like when you're flying with 5 and everything's overbooked, now it's a full week to get everybody back. Like it's not like in the old days where like there's empty seats. There are no empty seats. It's all oversold.
Yeah.
There was on the flight to Charleston Saturday, the gate agent with a white piece of paper came on and walked back to somebody in a seat. There was a guy standing and then someone sitting in the seat, pulled the guy out of the seat. They both had the same ticket saying the seat was theirs. Said it's your seat,
my
not yours.
God.
How'd they pick?
How'd that go? How
Not
do you
well.
think that went? I thought, my God, we're going to have a fight, and then this is going to get grounded. We're not going to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
What was the best thing that you guys did in Charleston?
The food. The food's incredible.
Yeah, food's incredible.
Yeah. Ate at the establishment was one of the best meals I've ever had in my
The
life.
establishment.
The establishment. It was an unbelievable meal. Ate at Husk.
How was Husk?
Husk was very good. It's very heavy. I'm not used to eating that way.
The food, yes.
So that from the desserts and the they eat and drink with the best of them, and I'm just not. I don't consume either at the pace, or I would say from a food perspective, the thickness. All of their food has a great viscosity
Well,
to it.
yeah, the thick sauces.
Yeah.
Fry. They like to
Yeah.
fry everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
that
not-
was So that was good. But the food was sensational, and the time with the blonde was great, and the history's great. Really cool. Loved all of that. Was a history minor, so that all hit home for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was something else, man. And it was the crazy thing is it's like it's right. Like I could have driven it. It would have taken me less time. I told her, I said we could leave at 7 a.m. We'd have been here by 5, or even 6.
Oh yeah.
Easy to do it. So yeah, it was, and I cannot. I'm already dreading like next Tuesday. I can't believe I'm doing this again. Getting on one of these people. It's not the people's fault. It's the system is broken. It's completely broken.
What we're hoping for is good weather across the country.
I don't even know if
'Cause
that matters. I had good weather. The weather was great.
Yeah, it's not about.
There's
It's
no
not even
th-
about the weather.
It's
anymore.
not even.
Yeah, but that will play a factor into the
It
weekend.
will. It will. But they, it for sure will. But like, I think they're even. We're past that.
Raining sideways right now.
Yeah, it's pouring.
It's dark in here.
I think they're past all
Yeah.
that. I think they're like it just there's nothing. They showed the stats on one of the planes. It was the one we took from Atlanta to Cleveland yesterday, and it ran on time 75% of the time. I thought, and that was like that's a point of pride, like 75%.
That's what we're
Can you
striving
imagine if
for?
I start the show at 1, like 3.5 out of 4 times a week. I'll be here right at 1. Normally though, sometimes I show up 1:17 and we start. Wish you the best of luck.
I have worked with people who have done that before. 75% would have been a pretty good
Pretty good number.
training camp a few years ago.
Yep.
Oh boy. All right, so there you go. All right, we've got Greg Newsome was on RBS, so we'll have that for you. In addition to that, Bill Barnwell ranked the playmakers on every NFL team, so we'll tell you where we broke down on that. We will get the magnum opus, your defensive breakdown, will be coming in the
By the way,
second
it
hour of
feels
the
like we're
program.
sitting in pitch black.
Someone should tell the grounds
And if it
crew
weren't
that
for-
the sprinklers are on too, right?
If it were for
I don't
these
think
lights-
that's
If
gonna
those
do
lights
well.
weren't there, it would be dark.
There are no other lights in here. I mean,
It's
there's
like 6 o'clock.
yeah.
6 o'clock actually
It's like 8 o'clock.
More December,
Yeah,
more like
8:30
o'clock.
right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to brighten up
Or
your
like-
picture. It
No,
looks
it's
good
fine.
right here.
It's
looks
fine.
good.
It's safe. It's safe. All right, so there you go. We're off and running on a Monday edition. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Serious Lawyers, Serious Injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Greg Newsome and his weekend in Cleveland, his celebrity softball game over the weekend as well. It seemed like Spida Mitchell was yanking him based on some of the images I saw.
Yeah.
Pretty good cut.
11 dingers in like 60 seconds or
And
something.
bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So he was on RBS on Friday. A myriad stuff covered here. He was talking about does he get crap from his teammates for not having an interception yet? Here's what he said.
I literally take it all the time.
Like every day?
Okay, so why is that, though?
Not all the honestly, I think I left a few out there. There's some opportunities that I've had for sure. I wouldn't deny that at all. I also think I'm not a guy to make excuses at all. So, it's just continue to try to catch the ball, things like that. But there's also, like, the fact that, I don't also get targeted that much.
Right.
And
There's a lot to do.
It's a lot to do with it.
He was also asked about teammate Deshaun Watson and the guys want to know if Watson felt disrespected not being considered a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
For sure. I think it's all recency bias. He wasn't on the field too much last year, wasn't on the field in 2 years. So I think he's one of those guys, too. I think if you were to ask him this question, he probably says inside he knows he's a top 10 talent, but he's going to say himself, too, like he has to prove it again.
That's one of those ones where he's I think no one wants to have – he's got to go – everybody knows. Play the season, and then it'll all play out.
Yes,
like it's all going to be
fine. Yes, and he'll get his interception. MJ Emerson's going to get his interceptions. It's
it'll
going
all
to be
work
fine.
out.
It's all going to work out.
Speaking of the defense needing to earn a little bit of respect, here's what Greg had to say about that.
We kind of talk about that a lot. Like, we all say it. Everyone says, like, on paper, we have the team. But at the end of the day, you got to earn respect every single game. You got to earn respect every single day. So until we earn that respect, from fans and things like that, that's why I say I don't really mind at all the negative stuff they say about us because we do have a team to be successful. We've had it for the last few years. We just haven't put it all together. So we got to earn that respect.
New defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz going to be a part of that. Here's what Greg Newsome had to say about that.
He's a professional. He's going to coach you hard no matter what. And his defense is all about being aggressive, and I feel like that's our style of play. So, we're all super excited. He has all the stats and everything to back it up. So you're going to trust a guy like that who's coached in Super Bowls, won Super Bowls, coached, top 5 defenses, top 10 defenses. So
for the defense in 2023.
He tells us all the time, like, we're going to lead the league in badassery. So that's literally what it calls.
Wait a minute, hold on. Badassery.
Exactly.
Oh, I like that.
So like that's just our motto.
That's pretty good.
It is good. I like it.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, I think this hire of Jim Schwartz was one that fit. I mean, everything that they do here, there's such intent and purpose. His style fits our talent pretty well, especially after we got bolstered up front.
It fits our talent very well, and I think it also compensates for not a personality deficit, but just a style that has been lacking. I just think in the organization in general. You think of some of our best players are very quiet players, and our coaches, I would say, our head coach is more of a quiet, cerebral coach, and so I think he gives you that credibility that you want. He gives you that energy, and like you said, he's going to coach these guys hard. I think he's going to give these guys a little bit of the business, and I think it's going to lead to, our best defensive performance in a while.
It feels like it is absolutely set up for that, and it feels like especially our secondary is one that should thrive because this is something that is going to. This is again the style fits the fight. These guys are comfortable in man. He's going to be someone who's going to rely. Jim Schwartz is going to rely on man a lot. So all of those boxes start to check, and stylistically, it fits our secondary very well. That's just the reality of it.
Agreed. I think that is what is going to be. That's what we're going to see. Is I use a pro wrestling analogy. One of the things that Paul Heyman, the legendary Paul Heyman, did in ECW so well is that he took guys that while there are very few what you would call absolutely perfect professional wrestlers, guys like The Rock or Kurt Angle or what it is. We have a Myles Garrett who's perfect. But with everybody else, they've got strengths, and then they probably have some limitations. And the goal should be to accentuate and play into their strengths and hide or minimize the situations that require them to be confronted with their limitations. Accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. And I think that we are going to, instead of maybe at times putting a round peg or a square peg into a round hole, we're going to have a style of defense that very much suits the strengths of what we have here. Offensively, we do that always. And I'm not saying that Joe Woods did not do that. I think that Jim Schwartz might be able to do that. His just philosophy and his style and the system that he was brought up in fits what we have here personality-wise to a T.
I think you hit it. It has nothing to do with that Joe Woods wasn't trying to do it. It's just that what Joe Woods was philosophically, defensively, was different than necessarily the players who were here in order to take out the best of both, where Schwartz's philosophy fits more in line with especially the secondary talent that we have here. All right, coming up next, Bill Barnwell ranking the playmakers on every team in the NFL. We'll let you know where he views our unit. That's coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN. time with Renew Home Exteriors, and introducing new composite clad siding featuring a beautiful deep grain look of real wood in 20 available colors. Just keep that just installed look for a lifetime with this low maintenance siding option. Right now, take advantage of no interest or payments for 24 months. Renew Home Exteriors, superior products, and superior service. Visit RenewEstimate.com for more on that. Bill Barnwell ranking the playmakers on every team going into the season. I think it's always important when we do one of these to give you the criteria.
Just so you know, I have not looked at any of them because I want to go through and
You want to go fresh.
I want to go put our top 10 together and then see how that matches up with his.
So it's only on-field performance for 2023. Injury history, suspensions matter. Wide receivers are weighted more heavily than running backs or tight ends. Okay. The focus is on elite playmakers and a team's top 5 contributors. Efficiency matters.
All right, so 3 receivers, tight end, number 1 running back.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so there you go.
I'm going to go.
I saw this, so
Okay.
it'll be yours. Okay?
I won't even try to worry about ranking them. Let's see if I can just come up with what I think are teams that should be in the top 10.
Okay?
Okay. Niners,
Yep.
Bengals,
Yep.
Eagles,
Yep.
Jets.
No.
No.
Really? Okay.
In fact, way
Yeah,
down. Way down.
confused
To
by
be
that.
fair, your first 3 were his 1, 2, 3
Okay.
in order.
Chargers,
So it was Niners, Bengals, Eagles, 1, 2, 3.
Chargers.
Yes.
They're number 4, actually. Oh, no,
5.
they're number 5.
They're number 5. Not the Bills.
So you're
Dolphins.
4 for 5 so far.
Yeah, 4 for 5, and you have those almost in order.
Dolphins.
Yes.
They're in the top 10. Just on the strength of Hill and Waddle, I'd imagine.
Yes, they are number 8.
I would think that the Vikings are no longer in.
You would think
with
wrong.
The loss of Dalvin Cook, but they still are because of Justin Jefferson. It's Jefferson, a draft pick, Huck, and Madison. Okay, so all right, Vikings.
Yep.
Okay, so that's
He's
6
got
of
them
them.
6.
That's 6 of them.
So you're missing his 4th,
Cowboys.
They are
No,
number 7.
but they are 7 on the list.
Cowboys are 7.
So you're 7 for 8.
All right, AFC West. Ooh, are the Jags in the top 10?
They are.
Okay.
They're 9 in the top 10.
They're 9.
ninth.
Okay, so I'm missing 4 of those.
You're
So I feel
missing
like-
number 4.
You're
Oh,
missing number 4 and number 10. But
Seattle.
Ding, ding.
Seattle. And I'm missing number 10.
Seattle is 4.
I feel like it should be us. It's not, though. That I knew because you showed me. I knew that we were 12. Okay.
We have alarms going off.
that's a lightning.
Is he going to put the
I saw that tornado thing in Indy, man. So if that better not be a tornado, I don't have time.
No,
for
no,
that.
no,
It's
no,
been
no.
a week.
All right.
Trust me.
All right.
In our division, it's if we're not in, the Steelers are in, the Ravens are not in. So take our division out. AFC East, the Bills, but that would be on the back of Stephon Diggs. They
Nope.
don't have the running backs. I don't think so. No, and they don't have the tight ends, even though they draft that guy they like. So that division's out. It's not the Patriots. So AFC South, it's only the Jags. So we've already covered that. AFC West, I don't.
By
think
the way, if you want to ever go chase one of those, let me know.
I mean, I think he's going to put the Chiefs in on the strength of Travis
Did
Kelce.
not.
Okay.
No.
All right, no. Okay.
Nope. No
so then
Chiefs.
it's not
Which, by the way,
Denver.
speaks to how great Mahomes is.
Yeah. It's not.
They don't have that. He's-
Is it?
Yeah.
It's got to be an NFC team.
So the Chiefs,
All right,
the
hold on, hold
Chiefs
on,
are
hold on.
number 19.
Chiefs are number 19. Okay.
Yeah.
But Kelsey though, I mean Kelsey's one is
Correct.
so spectacular,
Yeah.
but their receivers are lacking. All right. NFC West.
Do you want to phone a friend? Would
no,
you
I don't
like
want to put a
hint?
friend. I'm going to get it. No,
Any
I don't.
hint?
I don't want any hint. I want no hint.
You're looking for the 10th
This is
one,
what
by
we're doing
the
the
way.
last week in June.
This
No
is
hints.
No
That's
hint
right,
at
no
all.
hints.
All right. So I've got the Niners in, and we've got Seattle in. It is not the Cardinals. It is not the Rams. NFC South. Olave, Michael Thomas, though, injury history, Kamara, no. Not the Saints. Definitely not the
I
Panthers.
can tell you that the Saints were number 14.
Okay.
14.
So, right. And I don't think he would put the Bucks in there. Mike Evans, Godwin coming off the injury.
No, I
All
believe
right,
they're
so no. All right.
17, though.
All right, so that division's out. Oh. Giants.
No.
No? Hold on. So not the Redskins or the Commanders. So that
Well,
goes
I
in-
feel like I would just say this. You did omit somebody from the South.
The NFC South?
Yep.
And
Falcons.
ding, ding.
Come on.
Number
10.
That's not serious. Kyle
Not
Pitts
serious
has
people.
not produced
No.
Drake London and then 2 running backs?
Yep. 10th. Pretty crazy.
That's out. That's
not right.
Well, that's not right.
No,
I
not
would
right.
take our group over the Falcons 100 times out of 100. I would take the Steelers. The Steelers have what's that? Pickens, Deontay Johnson.
Najee.
Didn't they just add Allen Robinson, Najee Harris, and Freiermuth? You're
Yep.
telling me that that's not as good as a fivesome as what they have in Atlanta?
Yeah, I think
Who-
he blew it on this one.
Who are the 5 people he lists?
He lists Algier, Bijan Robinson.
That's 2 running backs.
Yep. Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts,
Drake London.
Drake London,
And who?
and I mean, who's the other? Mac
Mac
Hollins.
Hollins.
Give me a break, dude. Come on. This was
Yeah, this he blew that one.
That's outrageous. First of all, ours are better. The pukers are better, as you would say, Gibbe. The Jets at 22nd. You're talking about Garrett Wilson, who I think is going to be a top
He's
5
going.
receiver in the league after this year.
Yep.
You have Corey Davis. You have Alan Lazard. Let's not forget that they brought in Alan Lazard as well, and McCole Hardman,
Yep.
and Brees Hall.
Yeah.
And their tight ends are fine. That Tyler Conklin guy was plenty fine in Minnesota when he was featured. They just didn't have a quarterback who could throw the ball to tight ends. And they also have C.J. Uzoma.
Yep.
That is
I think Minnesota's too high at 6. It's not as egregious as Atlanta at 10, but it's too high for them as well.
By the way, Denver.
Should be.
Denver, you've got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick. You got that Albert O tight end and Javante
Denver
Williams.
comes in at number 24.
Yeah, that's out. That
so
is
20.
That's got to be based on
outrageous.
Williams' injury, though, right?
But he's saying that receivers are the most heavily weighted.
Most heavily
and
weighted, yeah.
Sutton, Jeudy, Patrick's a pretty good trio.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, the Atlanta one's difficult to wrap your head
The
around.
Commanders shouldn't be too low either. The Commanders have Gibson and
They're
Bijan
right in front of the
Robinson.
Jets
or not
at
Bijan Robinson, the
21.
other guy. They've got Terry McLaurin. They got Dotson, who was pretty good as a rookie, who can fly around a little bit. Don't they have Curtis Samuel? Am I making that up?
No, they do. They have Curtis Samuel.
And
He's back
Logan
to wearing
Thomas.
number 4, in fact.
And Logan Thomas.
Yep.
That's not a bad
That's
group
better
either.
than that operation in Atlanta. I agree with you.
The Giants, and I might have this wrong off the top of my head, but the Giants now have Saquon, Darren Waller, and who are their receivers? Didn't they just make an investment in a bunch of different receivers? I need to go on our lads.
yes, I believe so.
That is craziness. The Falcons? He only lists 1 wide receiver.
I know.
And he said receiver's the most heavily weighted thing. How can he justify that?
Tough sell.
Tough.
Tough sell for our guy Bill.
That's like
I thought the rest of it he kind of crushed. He got the rest of
was
it
good.
right.
Well,
but you got 8 out of
9
the 10.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hold
and
on.
us 12 on the list.
The Giants.
Yeah, the Raiders were number 11.
Raiders
Us at
11
number 12.
with Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfro. Who's they're drafted a tight end?
I can't even
And
remember
they,
who
si-
drafted.
they signed Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers. So they've got the Giants at receiver.
Hey, they also
have-
signed Austin Hooper, our former guy.
They've got Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell. They drafted Jalen Hyatt. They drafted Wan'Dale Robinson the second last year. Sterling Shepard and Isaiah Hodgins. I guess that's not that great. Isaiah Hodgins was pretty good last year, though. Hey, by the way, quick question.
Yep.
Personal. FIFA 23, is that what you're dabbling in?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
I'm getting it today. It's like $17 right now.
No, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
All right, so I'm not getting in the Ultimate Team, so what do I want to play? Just take a club and, play?
Yeah.
All right. And then
Yeah,
you're,
yeah.
And then you're going to hit me up for a game?
Yeah. Yeah.
You could
I'll
bring
start
me in.
you out. I'll start you out like the. So he was all excited. He got. He's playing with City last night. He missed the nightly matchup, so he was playing with City. And I'm like, look, I beat you with Juve last time. You got to play Dortmund. He's like, why can't you beat Madrid? I go, you don't have the right to play Madrid.
You got to earn it.
You got to earn that. And he goes, well, can't you beat Bayern? Can't you beat Barcelona? I said, no. You're gonna play. You're gonna beat Dortmund. That's how it's gonna go.
I will.
And-
I'm more than
and
happy.
how did that
by the
match
way,
go?
After I get a match under my belt or two and feel like I have some competency to be a surprise sub, an online match
Pop
against
in
me.
with it.
Yeah. You got to beat Zagura.
Beat Segura for the right to play Real Madrid.
Yeah.
My guess is because of your acumen and your ability on the video game, I don't think it'll take you very long.
No, but I want to get my feet wet before
Yeah.
I step in the ring with
Yeah.
NBC.
Yeah. So he got me last night, City versus Dortmund, 2-0. So he got me on that. Their speed was over, and I was a little rusty. Hadn't played since Wednesday, and he was playing. And then so then he's like, run it back. He goes, you can't beat. So then I played with Dortmund, and then I whipped him. Or I played with Bayern, and then I whipped him. So that was then.
Careful
So does
what
he
you
not
wish
get
for.
Real
No,
Madrid?
because he lost to Bayern.
Why would he have done that?
Just
he
take
could have
it
had,
should have
and walk
played-
away.
he had Real Madrid tonight.
He could have had Madrid tonight, but instead he tried backing it up. So then today he's going to have to start over against either Liverpool, Bayern, or Barcelona. And then maybe
Is
it's
Man
Madrid.
City the highest rated team in the game? Is that why he
Yeah.
takes them? Yeah.
Yeah, they won Champions League, so he liked them because they were the
Got it.
Champions League team. Yeah, Man City. The best teams are Man City, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Barcelona's okay. The one that's like ridiculous on the game because, I mean, the guys on the cover is PSG.
Okay.
So they have Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi.
Jeez.
So you play all three of them. You play one as a striker and then the other two feeding them.
Yep.
Or you can invert it and have like a central attacking mid and then two strikers. And you can just kind of pick which way you go. Like they're borderline unfair. Like I can score like 8 goals against the boys with them.
he can't beat you with them.
No
So if he
chance.
ever beats Real Madrid, that's
I think it's almost like a cheat code. Because they have the three the three best kind of attack guys.
okay.
All on one team. Like it never worked for them in the real sport. So like it's almost like they made those guys too good because Mbappe's on the cover and the other one it's Messi and Neymar. So it's like, but they weren't that good in real life.
Feels like they should be.
Yeah, they don't have the depth
Yeah.
throughout it all. So they never. Yeah, I don't think they've ever played for a Champions League final.
I mean, I wouldn't even know who was on Juve anymore. Back in my collegiate days, it was Zidane, Del Piero, and
Yeah.
Inzaghi.
Alessandro Del Piero, and then the goalie was Gigi Buffon.
Yeah, Buffon was the
So
goalie.
they had, and then Zidane played for
And
Juventus.
Inzaghi
So they had all
was
those
the
guys.
Inzaghi was the other striker.
Yeah,
That was
squad
nasty with them.
Yeah. So it's you'll like that.
I
That's
like
fun.
a good midfielder and two strikers though. So that this PSG feels like it's
Yeah,
speaking to
you
my
just
talent.
You have two things. You can either play it that way and they feed it to the striker, or else you like Madrid. I like how Madrid plays. They have 2 wingers, right and left wingers, and then they have a striker that's he plays a little bit back. It's kind of like a false 9, Benzema. So you can fly down the flanks with the
And then
wingers
center it.
and then center it or cut it back, and so you get the space.
That's what I
because the
like.
key is the space.
That's my style.
That's what you want. You want that space.
Because that's when I would back, and again, I'm going back to my college days. So this is a 98-99 series FIFA. Yeah, I'd take it with Del Piero and Zagi down sides, and then I'd end up feeding it back into Zidane in the middle, and pop out.
And then you go.
And then he can kick it over here, kick it over there, bam, cross it, header, boom, goal.
Yeah, same. All of that's the same. There are just some humans that are cheat codes. Like Holland for Man City is a cheat code. The big striker.
Okay.
It's not particularly fair. Will our defense be particularly fair for opposing offenses? We will get into that coming
not.
up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. On Friday, a comprehensive look at our offensive big picture heading into a camp, which is a little less than a month away. You'll be down there a month from now.
Oh, yeah.
I got to tell you.
Welcome. This will be our third
won't we?
day.
I got to tell
Well
you,
into it.
Ugh.
this is a bad habit that I have. I'm going to work really hard to try and break it. I don't know if I can, but I'm constantly like mapping out future. I find myself doing.
Be where your feet are, brother.
Yeah, I got to do a better job because I started to think like, holy hell, like summer's over, and I'm like, no, it's not. There's still time. Like
It's not even
it's
July.
not. Right? But like because we start July 22nd,
So early.
you know, we start so early here, and then we have that. You've got the Hoff game, like, and at that point you're
Philly.
into August. Philly kids are in. At that point, my kids are in school.
I
and
was
the-
going to say, in August, you start football practice.
football starts. I want to say August 1st. My buddy sent me the thing for like the heads up tackling stuff that I got to redo every year, and it's like that starts August 1.
Ugh.
They're back in it.
Too
like a month.
early.
When did we start living in Florida, by the way, where we're getting these monster thunderstorms followed by sun, and then it's like unbelievable.
By the way, it's raining everywhere but where I live, trying to grow grass. Yesterday, your wife posted a picture of it monsooning. I'm like, nah.
It
I'm
was over in
outside, it's
15
sunny and
minutes,
90,
though.
and I'm weed whacking.
So
a
you
ditch.
haven't had rain in the last 2 days, 10
No.
weeks, 10 days?
No, it's not that we haven't.
But you haven't gotten
literally,
like a
Like yesterday, I kept waiting. I'm like, I just need a good downpour. I need a good downpour really badly. And it never came. Like, it lightning and thundered and went north. You could see it go north.
really.
It went south because I was out mowing and it
Yeah.
got dark, but it just went south. I'm like, it's just not going to rain here.
Wow. Yeah, we got hit. We got
All
hit
weekend.
last night, and then we got hit today, this morning. Yeah, Buddy Gare and I were soaked on the walk. Not great.
Not
No.
great. Not ideal.
All right, buddy, let's do it. Positions of strength for the Browns defense a month out of camp.
All right. Well, it's very obvious. The positions of strength on this defense are the defensive end room and the cornerback room. And I think the safety room is actually going to be a pretty darn good room when it's all said and done. So the front end and the back end of this defense. And I think the linebacking room's got a lot of potential in it, but we're going to have to see how the guys come back from injury, who takes a step forward. Now, the good news is, or maybe not if you're a linebacker per se, is that we're going to play probably a dozen or so plays a game at most with 3 linebackers on the field. The majority of the time it's going to be 2 linebackers, and sometimes it's going to be 1 linebacker because we're going to be utilizing our strengths at the other places. So let's start with that defensive end room.
Let's go.
And this is one where, in my, as you're thinking about a 53-man projection, it used to be 4 defensive ends, 4 defensive tackles, 8. Well, it's going to be at least 5 defensive ends, maybe 6 on the 53. My guess is they're going to try to get away with 5 in a practice squad that they can then elevate for certain games because they're going to want to use, they're going to be rotating these guys. They're going to be keeping them as fresh as they possibly can. And now, if I'm an offensive coordinator, of course I want to see times when Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett are off the field, but it'll give them chances to play them together at times, to stagger them so one's always on the field with Obo Okoronkwo, but it all starts with Myles, Defensive Player of the Year contender every single year. Zadarius Smith, the 3-time Pro Bowler that the Browns brought in. He's got double-digit sacks in 3 of the last 4 seasons. As I've said this stat many times because I think it bears repeating, Myles and Zadarius Smith are 2 of the 5 players in the NFL, full stop, who have had double-digit sacks in 3 of the last 4 seasons. T.J. Watt, Nick Bosa, Aaron Donald, Zadarius Smith, Myles Garrett. That's it. That's the list. We've got 2 of them. So then you bring in Obo Okoronkwo, who we were happy with if he was our number 2 defensive end, and now he gets to be your number 3 and get in there, and they're going to be on the field together, the 3 of them, quite a bit, especially in passing situations. I think all 3 will be on the field all the time. So that's your top 3. Alex Wright, last year's 3rd-round pick, who they like, and Jim Schwartz is a big fan of Alex Wright and his ability to line up inside. And so I think there will be scenarios in our pass rushing situations because one of the biggest trends in the NFL, and one of the things that Philly's been able to do so well, and so the Rams have been able to do this very well with Aaron Donald, it's called an overloaded front. And so what the Browns will be able to do is line up, for example, let's call it Dalvin Tomlinson shaded on the center as we're looking at the quarterback, shaded to the left shoulder pad of the center, okay?
Yep.
Then out wide 9 on that same side, you're going to have Obo Okoronkwo all the way out there. Go to the other side. You can have Zadarius Smith kind of over the guard in that guard gap, the B gap. you can have then Myles Garrett, then another edge rusher. So maybe you have Okoronkwo on this side, and then Alex Wright, and Dalvin Tomlinson on the other side. And that forces what you're going to end up getting is that guard is going to have to go one-on-one with Myles Garrett. And that allows for all the twists and stunt games that we're seeing. We have the athletes on the outside, so you can loop around as Zadarius Smith while you have Myles and maybe Alex Wright kind of pushing up this way. Myles is one-on-one with the guard. There are so many things you can do. So we're going to see a lot of five-man fronts in passing situations, and there will be times where we're going to see 4, and I think even 5 defensive ends on the field together. Because you could put Isaiah McGuire out there. You could put Isaiah Thomas. Those are your 5th and 6th defensive ends right now. That's why I think 6 could make it. Isaiah Thomas was very productive as a rookie last year.
Yeah.
So we are absolutely loaded at that position. But you're going to be, and I remember talking with the Huff about it, when you get those overloaded fronts where you've got a guy on the inside shoulder, or in this case, so if you're looking out from the center, you have a guy over in that B gap, but on the left shoulder of the center, you have Myles on the guard, and then you have a guy outside of that tackle. They can't block everybody. There have to be one-on-ones, and then on the backside, you're going to get a for sure one-on-one because they're going to be trying to slide to that overloaded side anyway. So you could do a loop over there that catches them. There's so many things that can be done, and Jim Schwartz is going to do a lot of that. But that's a lot of the stuff that Philadelphia would do with those 3, where they get a Fletcher Cox, kind of pushing in the middle. They're able to line up some of their big guys. Then you had Hassan Reddick in that wide 9, where he's going to get one-on-one. And that's why he was so dominant. So there's a lot we can do there. I love this room. Those are the 6. The question is, do 5 make it? I think, obviously, Isaiah McKenzie, I think they were very impressed with what they've seen. Like I said, they like Isaiah Thomas. He's the one who's going to be battling, I think, to be that 6. I think we could keep 10 defensive linemen when it's all said and done. 6 ends, 4 defensive tackles. So Isaiah Thomas is kind of in that mix, but loaded room.
Yeah, it really is. As you go to the linebacker room, if you want to go there next. Do you want to do
we can do tackles.
Let's
we
do
can do
tackles. You mentioned the 10. Let's stay on the tackles. Let's hit that then.
All right.
Obviously, that's going to be there could be some issues there, and if when people critically look at this rosters, there will be. And I've said this before on the show. You and I've talked about it. Is this a position where is there somebody else you could add at camp, or once you get closer to the season, provided? Although there are names in this room that if they go the way their potential is, you might not need to.
Long answer, short answer, yes. Like Ndamukong Suh, I think would be somebody they would consider adding into this room. And so I do see a scenario in which it's 5 defensive ends and 5 defensive tackles. Now you'd say, well, in passing situations, we're going to play 1 defensive tackle at the most. Well, we can still do in some of those 5-man fronts 2 defensive tackles who are pushers or who are kind of what you would call screeners in your loops and twists and stunt games. So here's the deal. Dalvin Tomlinson, obviously, that's our number 1 defensive tackle on the team. He was brought in to be that. That's who he is. Number 2, I'm telling you, they restructure the contract. Jordan Elliott's making this team.
Yep.
And so far, Jim Schwartz likes him. It's hard to see what's going on, obviously, this time of year. But he was so restricted, and I talked to other people on the defensive line about it, and he had a lot of frustrations. There were times in our system where he had a responsibility, period. He was not able to kind of freelance at all or get up the field and be aggressive. If it was to go catch these 2, take on a guard and a center, and he had to fit that spot, in that gap there, in the A gap, that's what he would do. There were times in games where opposing offenses knew exactly where he had to go, and they were just able to, okay, we know you're going here. We're just pushing there because he didn't have that freedom. With this freedom, the hope is that he can make more plays. Perrion, I think, showed the most ability of anybody in that room last year. Should have had 3 sacks over the second half of the season. He had 2 wiped out on penalties. He has had some issues off the field, documented. Had some issues, being a professional, documented. If he can, get that part of his game under control and focus on just what he can do on the field, Perrion Winfrey could end up being our best or second best defensive tackle this year. They still very much believe in him. He's got to earn those opportunities. Then you draft Siaki Ika.
Yeah.
So who's the big monster in the middle? So that's your top 4. Tristan Hill's a former second-round pick out of Central Florida that was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. He's 6'3", 310. He's got the size. He's got all of it. He was drafted by the Cowboys when Ben Bloom was there. So Ben Bloom's now our defensive line coach. Obviously has familiarity with him. One of the reasons Tristan Hill's here. So far, the guy that if you were, okay, who's kind of surprised them the most or who stood out the most that they're the most pleased is Maurice Hurst.
Yep.
Who was a stud coming out of Michigan.
Big time.
Whenever he's played, now he hasn't really played in 2 years, but when he has played, he's been incredibly productive. So if you're thinking 5, maybe it's the 4 we mentioned, then Hurst. And then don't forget, there's Tommy Togiai entering his now 3rd season. Unfortunately, it feels like he's maybe an odd man out now.
It's hard to imagine that he would crack this.
Yes.
It's a pretty tough path now.
It feels like a very difficult path. Now, if you add an Ndamukong Suh in there, that changes the calculus even more, right?
Right.
Ika's on this team 100%.
Yep.
Dalvin
Elliott's
Tomlinson
on the team
this
100%.
team, and Jordan Elliott's on the team based on his contract, the way they redid his contract. Perrion, I think, is 99.9%. To me, it would take an outlier of a situation
Right.
that would cause
something
that.
else off the field.
But
him.
yeah, he's not going to be on the team because of what he's able to
Not
do between
because
the
of
white
talent,
lines.
no.
Correct. So that's an interesting situation when you're trying to put together 53s. Like, I think you almost have to have 10 guys in those 2 rooms, and you're going to have to make some difficult decisions. Now, they may try to get by. Could we, at this point, practice squad a Maurice Hurst or a Tristan Hill, and then, we're willing to lose them, but if we can practice squad them, they're up,
It's hard, though, because you've got that Hall of Fame game, too. Like, people are going to see.
And those guys.
Maurice Hurst. It's not like nobody knows who Maurice Hurst is.
And Maurice Hurst should dominate people
Yeah.
that are playing in Hall of Fame games.
Right. So if he plays in it, he'll dominate. It's almost like you have to hide him.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that he could be protected there. Feels like if he's someone they like, he's going to be in the 53.
Agreed. All right, so you want linebackers?
Linebackers. Let's go. So right now you're at 10
on the defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So linebacker, and again, this is a room where you're going to need more linebackers than are really going to be playing linebacker because they're going to be the core of your special teams. So let's start with the 4 guys that are coming back that were injured last year: Walker, Taki, Jacob Phillips, Owusu Koromoa. I would expect those 4 to be on the team as of today. Now,
Yep.
if Taki's not ready, they may be able to buy a roster spot because he did tear his ACL late in the season. That was the game against Houston, Week 12. They may be able to buy, put him on the PUP list 6 weeks where they could carry. He's still a Brown. He's not exposed to anybody, but they are able to keep somebody else. And you say, well, why is that even a thought you're having? Well, here's the deal. They love the development of Tony Fields. He's going into his 3rd season. And last year, when given the opportunity because of those injuries, he was a bright spot.
Yep.
He really stepped up, played very well. We'll all remember the touchdown against Houston where he throws it to his dad in the stands, and his dad almost falls down. It was a crazy thing. They signed Matthew Adams, who is one of the most elite special teams players in the league, who was a big linebacker and is already above a Ventrone favorite. So now I've given you 6 names.
Yep.
Jordan Kunashik, who I sat down with in that very comprehensive
Yeah.
interview. Schwartz loves him.
Schwartz wears his jersey.
He's getting first-team mic reps and killing it. Tarver raves about him. Bubba Ventrone raves about him. And it feels like he's going to be on the team. So that's 7 guys. So if you're at 10,
You're at 17, Coach, and you haven't
you
done
can't
the
have
secondary.
7. That's why you're going to have
It's
to
not
have
gonna
6.
work.
Somebody's not going to make it in there. You're going to be at 6. You'll be at 16, and then you'll be 10 in the secondary. So now you could get away with 5 corners if you wanted to keep, an extra linebacker who's purely a special teams guy, and we could talk about how you would get away with that with the practice squad. But so that's where you are there. Now you go to the 3rd level, go to the cornerback room. Our top 4, I think, are as set in stone as set in stone. Denzel, Greg Newsome, MJ Emerson, AJ Green.
You're at 20.
Okay? And I think when you look at 53, you're going to be 24 offense, 26 defense, 3 specialists. Mike Ford is right now your favorite to be your 5th corner because he was the one that you signed. Again, special teams ace. Bubba Ventrone, we talked, remember we were in the that suite at the stadium, and he's like, well, he mentioned Adams and Mike Ford. Those are 2 guys he wanted here. They're here. I believe they'll be core members of special teams. So that's 5 corners there. You drafted Cam Mitchell this year. Now, not all these draft picks are going to make this roster.
No, they're not.
But he wants to see, the idea is you want to keep him in the program here. Now, if he could be the 6th corner, it would be him or Thomas Graham most likely would be competing for that 6th corner spot. But most likely, I think one of those guys ends up on the practice squad. And then you also have a wild card, Chris Westry, who's 6'4", and just has a different body and a different look than anybody out there. And he's been around in the league. He's been with the Ravens, spent time with some other teams.
Yep.
So my guess is it's 5 or 6 there. If it's 6, then you keep another guy on the practice squad, so you have 7 kind of in the system here. If it's 5, you keep probably 2 on the practice squad. keep him in the system here. And the way that the NFL's gone recently, though, you're seeing fewer kind of bottom of the roster pickups after the 53 cuts because you have to sign the active roster, and teams are keeping most of their own guys. They're in their system already on the practice squads.
Yep.
So that's where you are in corners. And then safety, I think safety is 3 locks, obviously. Delpit, Juan Thornhill, Rodney McLeod. And then I think the fourth safety, and I'm remiss to mention that they have liked as well the young linebackers that they've brought in. Mahmoud Diabate from Utah. Tarver's been a big fan of his, as well as Charlie Thomas out of Georgia Tech. Both smaller guys who can really run, but they could end up staying, as I said, in the program, practice squad. I don't think right now they are, 53 because it's just a good 53.
Yep.
So then the big battle at safety in my mind is, does D'Anthony Bell, who played, well for us last year,
Sure.
does he hold off Ronnie Hickman Jr.? And that's who was productive at Ohio State, went undrafted, but certainly looks the part. So that's where you're at. I think you're going to end up with 26 on D and 24 on offense. I don't think you're going to be balanced 25-25, and I think that's fine. The question's going to be, is it 11 on the D line, 6 at linebacker, and then 9 in the secondary? Is it 10 on the D line, 6 at linebacker, 10 in the secondary? Is it 9 on the D line, which is also possible using the practice squad, 6 and then 11 on the back end? Do we keep 6 corners or, something like, or 7 linebackers for special teams, 6 and whatever? So there's a lot of ways they could go about it, but there aren't many spots up for grabs. There's a spot that's up for grab that's probably between a sixth defensive end and maybe your 5th defensive tackle. There's a spot up for grab for who your 6th linebacker is, maybe a 5th or 6th corner. That's really it. 4th safety. I mean, there are not premium positions up for grabs on this roster, and I think that is what is going to be so interesting as we kind of go through this camp. We go through these 4 preseason games, which used to be the normal, but now it is abnormal. It's just for the Browns. That's going to be so interesting to me to see how this all shakes out. But you've probably got, if we're calling it 26 defensive players, there's probably 23 of them that are set.
You were going
22.
through that. You were going through that, and then I was in the low 20s. I was at 22 set.
Yeah.
And then there's other guys that especially in that defensive line room where there were things that we saw in minicamp and just talking to people around here that Hurst is one that
Yes.
I mean, based on what happened here, lead me to believe that he's someone who could be a real contributor and really help.
And likely there will be an injury or two, unfortunately, between now and the start of the season that will maybe get us right to 25 of the 26 locked up,
Yeah. There isn't a whole – there's defensive tackle, like the 4th one.
I don't even know if it's the 4th. I think it's if
it might
they
be
keep
a 4/5th. It feels like
the 4 are
4th.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Dalvin, Elliott, Perrion, and Ika.
I feel almost the same way about Hurst. I don't know. Maybe that's overstepping, but I feel like he almost feels like a lock to me.
I think it's early for that, but I think he has the ability.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. And then so there's not that much wiggle room
No.
for these guys. It's like that 4th safety, however far deep into defensive end you want to go.
Right. Will there be 6 defensive ends? Will there be 5 defensive tackles? Is there 6? Who's the 6th, 7th linebacker? Who's the 6th, 7th corner?
Yeah.
If there are 6 corners.
Yeah, if that gets there.
What's the 4th? Yeah, that's really where we're at, man.
It's way down the bottom. Like we've been saying, all off season, like this roster's ready to go.
Well, it's a roster of consequence.
It's a roster of consequence, and it's one that's ready to go. And my guess is this is a similar tone to the conversation you had on the offense.
Yep.
There's not much to fight for.
On offense, honest to God, it's the 3rd quarterback spot, but I feel like Dorian Thompson-Robinson's a pretty heavy favorite. And then the question becomes, can he do enough to push Dobbs? My guess would be no, because Dobbs is excellent. But these are the kind of questions we're talking about. Running back, it's who's the 3rd running back? Mm-hmm. Is it somebody that's here, or do they bring somebody in? On the offensive line, it's who makes it in the center room, because they love Luke Whippler, but do you carry 3 centers because you like Nick Harris?
Yeah.
Can he play guard? Can Whippler play guard? Who are the backup guards? Because it feels like your starting line, both tackles are set, DeJuan Jones and James Hudson.
Yep.
Then it's going to be Michael Dunn, Drew Forbes, Whippler, Nick Harris. How many of those guys make it in the middle, and how many offensive linemen do you ultimately keep? Feels like your 3 tight ends are set.
Locked. Yep.
Locked in. It feels like your receivers, Amari, Donovan, Elijah, Marquise Goodwin,
Tillman.
David Bell are set at 6, and then does Jakeem Grant make it as a returner, or with the rule changes, or they think the return's not as important? I don't know. Jerome Ford did a good job. DPJ took one to the house last year. How has he recovered from his injury? But Jakeem Grant, somebody that you'd keep an eye on there. Anthony Schwartz,
all of this to say that, typically you play in a Hall of Fame game, it's nothing.
No, there's a lot at stake.
There's a lot at stake in the Hall of Fame game for these guys, because these guys are going to play, and the fact that DTR's here is going to add to it. Tillman will play in that game. That will make that game more fun than those typically are, other than just the pure joy of seeing the Hoff down there on the field. All right, one of the guys who's going to have a big hand in shaping all of this is Ben Bloom. He is our defensive line coach. You will hear from him coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, so you just heard Z so eloquently and articulately break down our defensive line and the position battles and the players who will take part in that. Now you will hear from the man who will be making the decisions, or a big part of the decision of who stays and who goes. Here's Ben Bloom at the podium.
Group when you mix in the guys obviously coming back, but then you throw in the Zedarius, Obo, all the guys that have kind of come over from the last couple of months.
Yeah, it's been really fun working with the group. Anytime you get a mix of veteran and young players, I think that's a good recipe to have success. You have guys that have, had a lot of success in this league. Some guys at one team, some guys at multiple teams, like Zedarius and or Miles, who's been here, right? But you have guys that know how to win in the NFL in the right way to approach the job on a daily basis. Obviously, Dalvin falls in that category too. So when you get guys in the room show their way of being pros, and you get younger guys who are hungry and want to learn from them, you got a chance to have a pretty good culture of just work ethic and effort and being a top-tier pro football player. So when you're a coach in that situation, that's fun, yeah.
A lot of the offseason coach has been the wide nine. Everybody's really excited to see it. Like, do you sense the excitement from the players and how different? Obviously, we've been here to see it before, but how different do you think it's going to look?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Schwartz, it's well documented, right, as a coordinator or head coach for a long time in the NFL, has had a lot of success with this system. He's been at multiple stops, but, the system really hasn't changed. Really, Coach Schwartz and Coach Washburn, with the D-line, those two guys have really set the mark of how this attack front should be, how it should look like, how you train it, how you build it. So that's the model I'm following. I'm fortunate to have, again, Coach Schwartz and Coach Washburn, their model, and now it's up to us to continue to build it in that direction.
So after OTAs
Go
in
ahead.
minicamp,
Yep.
who's the quickest off the ball on this team?
The quickest off the ball. I mean, yesterday Miles might have been most consistently the quickest, but it didn't feel like today was. I don't know if you watch our individual, but a lot of times I like to be the center because I played that position at one point. Not at that high of a level, but so I like to go down there and have the ball in my hand and do the cadence. And my focus in that moment is to have the best cadence possible to see if I can make these guys jump off sides. So I can't always feel who's exactly winning the get off at that moment. But today I'm going to watch the film right when we're done, and then I'm going to evaluate. But yesterday most consistently was Miles.
How about the tackles?
The tackles, Tristan showed up once or twice. Mo showed up once or twice. I mean, it's so competitive. It's not like everyone's winning. No one's winning 9-0. It's pretty like one or two here and there. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of juice coming off the ball. We got to get better, but the competition's a good thing.
You seem kind of mellow talking to us, but you're not mellow out there with those guys. So is it a switch you turn on or what?
Well, it's our job to have a great individual. So coach's job is to set the tempo. And I think we all respond to each other's energy. So, I'll bring the energy when we need to bring it, and usually it's a good thing. And we get rolling, and we run, and we get off the ball, and then, we're in a rhythm, and that's our job. Like, we got to go.
So wait, just to follow up on that. So how does that translate to the players? Does players take that energy from you, do you think?
Well, I think all of them have their own internal energy, and they're pro football players, and they want to come and be great. Right? But sometimes you need your coach to turn it up for you a little bit, and then usually they take it over from there. Every day is different. Obo's always bopping around, talking, having fun. So sometimes he brings it first. Siaki brings it sometimes. Miles, okay, he said something. Zedarius says something. Dalvin, was that Dalvin? Yeah, he says something. So, like, someone's going to say something to get us all going. It's my job to make sure we got the culture where we're all doing it, picking each other up, and as a coach, I'm going to take every opportunity I can to get that going in the right direction.
How is it you end up at D-line? Who initiated that move?
I know organizationally they were obviously supportive of it. I have it in my background. I've was fortunate when I was in Dallas for 9 years. I was a linebacker coach there at the end, but before that I coached D-line, coached D-ends. That system's a little bit, it's different. It's different than the system we have here, but it's D-line play. So obviously the position was open. I was in the building, and it's something that, if the job's available, I'm interested, and I was fortunate that it all worked out.
Since it's Schwartz's kind of specialty,
Yes.
reputation, feel any added pressure to be the position coach there?
Well, look, I'm going to work my butt off to do what the team needs to win. So I'm freaking excited about being the D-line coach for Jim Schwartz, So pressure, I mean, I don't really feel it. I more apply it, but, it's the NFL. Like, we got to be great every day. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be great every day.
D-line is what I'm getting at with the investment.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the order of events from a chronology standpoint, like maybe the D-line coach and the other signings happened, but it worked out. I'm so far it's been fantastic. It's going to continue to be, and we're really excited to keep rolling as a group.
You mentioned Obo's energy.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him when he comes off the edge? Like, what stands out about his game?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a really good first step. He's got explosiveness. He's also, what's unique about him, sometimes certain guys have ability to change direction, different than others, just how they're built, how their gait is, how their length is. So a guy of his height and his stature, he has that initial get off, but then he's got the feel and the lateral agility to make different, moves. And when you watch his film and you see how he is productive, the manner in which he plays and rushes the quarterback, those type of things show up. His feel, his, I guess agility, for lack of a better term. And you see it in the drill work, but of course the drill work is not real one-on-one pass rushing. So
when I was talking to him yesterday, he didn't seem upset at all that you guys get Za'Darius, right, who theoretically could take reps away from him. I guess, do you notice the same thing, and what does that say about him that he's not worried about that?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to rotate guys to begin with. So, I mean, this system, we're going to play hard. We're going to compete. We're going to run. So there's going to be a rotation. So, the starter could play as much as the next guy, so to speak. So that's the first thing. And then after that, it's, Obo's a pro. Za'Darius is a pro. They want to win. They've been great teammates so far. And we've been mixing groups already in our jog through team periods, and their professionalism and maturity is noted.
Garrett in his career has averaged about 80% defensive snaps.
Yep.
What should be that number?
Yeah, I mean, ideally it's going to be lower than that initially, and the whole point is that we're fresh every week and fresh at the end of the season. So
70? Would you like to get, or even below that?
Yeah, about something in that ballpark. It's hard to. There's going to be a rotation, and as the game moves, but yeah, it would be probably lower than that.
Probably 4 or 5 ends up every Sunday, right?
Yeah, you would think. In the nature of that, at least 4, that's standard. And then after that, things like health and special teams, and yeah, but sure, we'll be rotating players, so we'll be ready with multiple guys in multiple positions.
Ben, should I talk about that rotation, I guess, aspect of it? I mean,
yeah.
We've seen you guys kind of move those guys around already. I know it's not full contact or full go or anything like that, but just seeing kind of how they've done in that, does it kind of get you excited for as the ramp up begins of the versatility you have in this unit?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a coach, you have to take advantage of the players' strengths and their abilities. We have guys who have production documented at different spots across the line. So, I mean, I have to be aware of that, of course. And then when you put it all together and you're building rotations and who's out on the field in certain situations, like who's on the field in 3rd down and 2 minute and 1st and 2nd down, now you got to be intentional about who you're putting where. So, yeah, it is exciting. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, do we know what we're doing? Do we know how to do it? Are we playing hard? Are we playing together? Are we finishing? Are we playing with excellent technique? And that's the stuff that's most important. Then after that, okay, now, you want to rush over here? You want to line up over here? Yeah, there's priorities. But I'm with you. I agree.
So are you saying that Obo has the most energy over a guy like Za'Darius or Siakam? That's a lot better.
Well, we don't have an energy meter out there every day.
But you said feed off their energy, so what's the vibe? Who's bringing the most?
Well, there's energy within the drill with like the effort and the toughness. You see that in Za'Darius because he's going hard, and then he's just kind of like smiling and having fun in between. But Ovo's a little more audible. He's bouncing a little more. He's talking a little more. Siaki might pop off with something, So, hey, if they're working and they're having fun, that's only gonna make my job more fun and bring the whole culture and attitude of the group in a positive note. So.
Siaki said he wanted to be best friends with Miles. Have you seen them just become besties during drills and whatnot?
I mean, during the drill they're working, so I can't. I hope they're not doing that during the actual drill. In between drills, they might be, but I'm not focusing on. You're all good. I'm not focusing on that, but hey, I mean, Miles is someone that you can learn a lot from. So. Siaki's a sneaky smart guy, so he's probably wise to surround himself with some vets that can help him and help his career.
We've heard a lot of guys trying to describe, or not trying, but describing Jim's defense and his philosophy. But as a guy coaching the guys up front, how would you say is what your main message to them in this attacking scheme?
Well, we're real fortunate to be in a defense like this with Coach Schwartz and what he's built over the years. He sets the standard for what he wants from the defensive line, and he wants guys that can be productive, that can play with high motor, that can mess things up for the offense, that can get off the ball, that run to the ball, and that finish on a play-in, play-out basis. And that makes the defenses go. And his most successful defenses at multiple places have been when the D-line does that. We know that, we understand that. So now, daily, how we meet, how we watch film, how we decide that how we're going to work out on the field, our techniques, our effort, that's all based on, the standard that he sets for us. So it's exciting when you know that you can, if you work hard and do it the right way, you can have that kind of impact in our room for this team. That's an exciting thing, and we're relishing that opportunity.
I love this coaching staff. There's a lot of good dudes on
Yes.
it that are pointed in the right direction, and I think going to be part of a very, very big year here with the Browns. So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. win of all of, well, I mean, a good time with the wife, good food, all that was a
Yeah,
win. I mentioned off air, found that cool bottle of bourbon that I was looking for a while. That was cool. But the one win was on the flight back from Atlanta to here Sunday. On the video player, they had HBO, and they had the entire 10th season of Curb.
So good.
And so that's Spite Store.
Ugh.
That's Freddie Funkhauser gives Larry a blow-up doll. That's they go to Mexico and the weights. They won't give him the weights.
Oh my God.
Jeff's surprise party with Chris
Oh my
Martin.
God. Yeah. What a season.
What a season. What a season of it. I mean, it's just, and that's coming back.
I was going to say,
That's
should
coming
be
back.
coming here.
Yeah, yeah. And I would also say, we were talking about this in the break, if you're into laughing, The Righteous Gemstones
is back
this season. They're 3 episodes in. It's heaters. The third episode last night's was unbelievable.
If somebody out there has not watched seasons 1 and 2, are they necessary?
No. I don't think so. I think you'll pick it up right away.
No, because you said it. Like
he takes a different.
Yeah, there's a different approach. It's not as dark.
No,
maybe?
the first season was really dark.
Yeah.
Like Vice Principals at the end was really dark.
Would
first
you start
season of
season
Gemstones.
2 then?
I think you just do 2 and 3.
Just start
I don't
with
even
2.
know if you need. I mean, you could just start 3.
Yeah.
It's McBride living his best life.
He is on the Sunday Conversation.
Oh my God, I was dying. Dying.
He was trying to make like the faces back at him, which would close his eyes a lot. That's so good.
It was perfect. It really was. All right, the next level is coming up next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 8:50 ESPN.